The 80s was a defining period for brands and branding in Nigeria as the country embraced more global themes, pushing products more aggressively across mainstream media. At the height of the push for brand prominence, brands sought more creative ways to connect with consumers. That period prompted the rise of a more creative way to stay memorable. Mascots, colorful animated characters that became the friendly faces of products, bridging the gap between brands and the heart of the Nigerian people.
One of the hardest script or brief to interpret is one that has to do with food business in retail. Because if you look at that category, it's like an open sector. The stakeholders, the level of information, there are too many brands there that people see as commodities. So your first challenge there is, so how do I take something as a commodity and make a big brand out of it? So it can be challenging for any brand. First thing is to understand the sector the person operates in, then the market. Now in that market now we look at, there's one thing we call the customer pain points. How do they communicate brands in that sector? Then we now build a brand archetype for the brand itself. So how should we communicate this brand? Should it be like a lover brand? We have like 12 types of archetypes, basic archetypes. So from there, after doing that research, we pin it down, okay, this archetype might be good for this brand. So once we nail that one down, then we now start exploring different means of communicating that brand. Can I give an example? So let's say, like for instance, we look at a brand like, okay, this brand now will be good to market as a magician. There are still many ways you can market a magician brand. So we present like 4 options to the clients. We review it and have to go for the best one that can solve the problem in 3 areas. That solve the client's problem, that connect to the market, to the target audience, and something that kind of intersect with all the stakeholders in the market. Once we're able to nail that, then your brand is good to go. So the moment you identify your 0 points in your brand matrix, that's when you know you need a mascot. So and what's that 0 point? 0 points is that point of intersection between your brand, your category you are in, your target audience. There are a lot of factors, but those are like the 3 key things. Once you spot a connection with the 3, then it will be ideal for your brand to have a mascot. So if I'm to give an example, when Michelin launched the Michelin tire, when they launched the Michelin man, I think over 100 years ago, they made a mascot in the form of a tire. Those represent a man still, but when you see it, you know it's a tire, you know it is a man, a strong, macho man that clearly connects to the brand's philosophy of being rugged, of being strong, being like a top brand in the market. So at that point, the mascot will work for any brand, any day, anytime. And that's why that mascot has been able to survive for that long. We've had technology changes and stuff, but this thing has been around for 130 years. So in a way, it has become the face of the brand. So if you think of Michelin tires now, first image that comes to mind is not even the tire, it is that mascot. So place Michelin beside Dunlop, beside Goodyear, beside like 5 other tires. That one comes at top. Why? Because of the mascot they're using. I think I was in like school that time. We're all trying to. I think we're all sketching Fido Dido in our books that time. That shows how engaging having a mascot can be. Not that we're all taking 7-Up every day, but every day we all want to recreate the Fido Dido we are seeing. Look at my Fido Dido. So in terms of engagement, a mascot is very good for brand engagement. Even when people are not consuming your brand that much, the mascots can help with the top of the mind awareness strategy. So whatever message you're trying to sell with your brand, whatever narrative you're trying to tell, your mascot is a summary of that thing. So if your brand makes people feel fly, makes them feel happy and stuff, when they see the mascot, that's what it reminds them of. First and foremost is to first look at the market itself, where the brand operates in. Do a research on how other brands in that sector are communicating their brand. That will give you a cue of what to do and what not to do. So from there you can identify, okay, if I'm defining my own archetype, what should my archetype look like? So even if there are 100 mascots in the market, by studying what is already happening there, it can help you define how yours should look. If we look at the Fido Dido mascot, the time Fido Dido came out, there are a lot of mascots in the world that time. The McDonald's man, this one, they have different mascots. But Fido Dido is unique. Why? They didn't go all out or doing something colorful and stuff. They just stick drawing and they connect directly with the audience. So they're able to achieve that by doing a research of, okay, what is in the market? How are people communicating? How are they using their own mascot? So once that is defined, you'll now define how you want your own mascot to stand out. So if you are in the market where there are a lot of blue, highly colorful mascots, you can go the other way by creating something abstract or something with a bit of contrast.
I think it was just from the adverts. Probably the same way every other person discovered it. There was this advert then in NTA where they used to have this character with a white hair rolling football around, and it kept popping up every halftime. They had the 7-Up advert, so at that halftime it would come up. And that time we used to watch in our black and white. We'll gather in the parlor and then we'll watch it, and then it was very interesting because the character it's almost like a hand-drawn cartoon. And you find out that because of that, the body it invokes this feeling of you can really do anything, more or less. So it's something they used to kind of market the 7-Up brand. Brands tend to need mascots when they want to be able to reach a wider social acceptability. So this social acceptability can come in form of social media, which is just the social going online, people being able to relate that particular image or character with your brand, or the physical social, acceptability in places like what they call creative parks, theme parks, when we have things like competition and the brand shows up and you see those people wearing the mascot dummy on their body. Register the brand in your head with that. So when you see the ego, let me say it's an ego. When you see the ego, you register it with this particular brand or this particular company. And also it's also a way to project their values. So a brand needs a mascot when they begin to have that need. They begin to have that need as a brand. They begin to have feedbacks from people telling them that, or they begin to see one or two feedbacks from people that are also telling them that they are actually not reaching a particular demographic, or they are not reaching a wider audience that they normally should be able to reach or they want to reach. So there are generally two types of mascot, and this is my own definition. I see the character mascots, which are the humanoids, the one that had to do with human characters like the Temi of SCMB, the Leo of UBA, and the Ziba of Zenith. So these are human mascots that kind of project the values of the brand. And what you tend to see is that these human mascots, they have one of the characteristics is like they have either the colors of the brand. Actually, most times the colors of the brand are projected. So the colors of the brand most times have to be on these characters. And then even the attitude of the character, the way it is designed, is supposed to exude, if you want it to be a friendly brand, corporate, it's a corporate brand, but you want that edge of friendliness, weirdness, or if your brand projects what we call stability. So you're going to have to look for a character that gives people that level of trust to be able to partner with your brand. Then there's the other type of mascot, which is the creature mascots. Now the creature mascots, examples. So the Super Eagles, I will say the animal brand of the Super Eagles. And even First Bank, I think I noticed they have this big elephant, which they use once. Animals generally, people tend to associate some kind of characteristics to animals. There are those that have domestic qualities and those that are wild in nature. So for instance, like the vehicle, everybody knows the Lamborghini. You can see that the mascot is a bull. They're trying to show you the power behind the vehicle. So they're trying to project, so what we call horsepower and all those things. So just project the vehicle as this very big, and when you see a bull, it's aggressive, it's coming for you. So this very massive force of engineering behind the Lamborghini. So brands tend to choose the creature mascots in terms of that their inherent attributes they have. So when you see a horse, you're thinking speed. When you see a turtle, you're thinking speed too, but the other side of the speed. When you see like an eagle, you're thinking elevated among all birds. A brand that feels that they are the apex predator, like they are the best among every other brand. So you see the eagle, and you know about the eagle always flies very high. As a creative, I think my first approach is to really understudy the company, try to find out what their inherent values are. So things like reliability, trust, being able to family friendly. So when you hear things like family friendly, you hear things like corporate trust, insurance companies, when they're trying to talk about security, or I think, those are like buzzwords that companies tend to throw around. And if they have three buzzwords, one of them or two of them or three of them, most times you don't need to put many of them. You can take out the most important buzzword for this company and kind of project it in the design. So when I hear, for instance, family friendly, I start to think of something that children will get very comfortable around, something that will also cater to children, especially younger children, women, not much of men per se, because when you talk about family friendly, you're talking about women and children. My first approach is to get these values down, and then I try to associate. I also get from the client which of the kind of mascots they want. Is it a creature, or is it a human, or kind of a hybrid where you have a creature that's almost standing on bipeds. So it's like a creature, but it's also standing, most times they're standing on both legs, and they are also projecting human qualities. So after that stage, we now move to the design proper. When you move to the design proper, you start considering things like form, function, color, all those things. Then you move from there to the illustration, the design, when you illustrate the character, then you start working on how to morph the shapes, morph these values and these colors to shapes. And then from the shapes, you're able to come up with what that character is supposed to look like. Most times we do a variation where we have 5 different designs or 6 or more to be able to have the client choose within those designs which of them that he preferably needs. or he or she needs. And then from there, we can now double down and then improve on that particular design. I think that's really the process of creating the mascots. For the NERC, when we got the brief, I think we had previously done something for that company, and we used the energy bulb. So the energy bulb that has this spiral design, we used that to come up with a character, and then it was just a bulb. So it was like it wasn't a human mascot. It was just the bulb that had the eyes and the mouth and I think some detachable hands that kind of gestured around. But this time around, we tried to make it more relatable. So we chose going with a young Nigerian boy, or rather a young Nigerian man in form of a mascot. But now he's going to have the brand of around his design and his fashion. So we came up with someone that will have a suit on top of a jean and then with his sneakers. So we didn't want to make it operate all the way. So it would have been a typical suit and tie and with long tie or bow tie. But then, so we also wanted to relax it a bit and make it more universally acceptable, not just for the corporate people, for any other person on the street. Yeah, that was it. For Simon Cooper, because it's a law firm, we tried to, they wanted something that also, for a specific project they were doing, they wanted a mascot to lead. But this project is going to have to explain some very complex legal terminologies. So they opted to go with a lawyer. But then I think for the trick that we are trying to decide was, is it going to be a male lawyer or a female lawyer? I think we put it up to a vote. I designed 5 characters, 4 males, 1 female, and the general consensus was to go with the female. And then it now came down to the form and the shape. I used more of round shapes that gave that level of friendliness to the character. And I also removed the wig, because initially I designed it with a wig, and they were like, we don't want it to be all serious with the wig and then with the eyeglasses. So we removed all that.
Despite the departure of some brands from conventional mascots, there remains a promising future for these iconic figures. Digital brands, often characterized by intricate algorithms rather than tangible products, employ mascots to project a more approachable and less impersonal image. Companies like Duolingo, X, and MailChimp leverage mascots effectively, fostering a stronger connection with users each time they interact with these personified symbols. In a broader sense, one could argue that contemporary celebrity founders are assuming the role traditionally played by mascots in brand ambassadorship. Rather than relying on mascots, companies like Tesla, Amazon, and Facebook showcase their founders at the forefront, contributing to a shift in the dynamics of brand representation.